and Mark in Valley, Washington. Mark, you're on the air with Congressman Khanna.
Good morning, gentlemen. Let me first preface this by saying I'm a true progressive. My first vote was for Jimmy Carter, okay? But I am also one of those people that I want an assault rifle in my closet, hoping to never use it, and I'll explain why. As long as you keep having the police forces become more militarized, you are never going to get people to give up the assault weapons. If you want to solve this problem, you've got to demilitarize the police, and then people like me won't want an assault weapon.
That is bizarre, Mark. That is bizarre. You really think that you're going to take on the police force of the United States with your little assault weapon? Congressman Khanna, your thoughts?
Well, look, I'm for demilitarizing the police as well, and I certainly think that we need to be mindful of the abuse that has taken place with the police. But I think that's a separate issue than the assault weapon ban. I mean, I don't think, Mark, even with an assault weapon, that you would be able to confront the police force or certainly the FBI. And my view is, yes, let's demilitarize the police, but also let's take the assault weapons out of the hands of people like Cruz who are committing huge crimes. I will say, I started my career interning for Jimmy Carter at the Carter Center. I think he's one of the great presidents, so I appreciate your support and admiration for him.
Yeah, he really, really, truly was. Charles in Opelika, Florida, you're on with Congressman Khanna.
Hello, Congressman Khanna.
Hello.
Hi. When I see this debate about the guns and this military parade that Trump wants, I only think that it's basically white supremacy trying to show its power. I got offended this weekend because I live here in Miami. I actually rode down I actually rode through the area on the day of the shooting, and I saw all those cars lined up. I don't know if it's called Westview Drive or Terrace or whatever it is, but I knew who those cars belonged to, and it just was an eerie feeling. And it bothers me that you have the prosecutor now saying that they want the death penalty for this young man, and I don't advocate for that because I feel as if you have Fox News and right-wing radio that's propagandizing these young people, especially people with mental disabilities. And you have a news station like Fox that's pitting Americans versus Americans. And my question is basically, who's going to stand up to them? Who is going to put a leash back on Fox? Because this kid is not the problem. He's just a symptom. And I believe right-wing radio, as well as Fox, is the problem that we're facing in this country today.
Thank you, Charles.
Well, I share your frustration with Fox News and the propaganda, but I think, putting aside the debate on basic gun safety and not having AR-15s and not having magazine clips, there is something about our culture, about a sense of community, a sense of family, a sense of making sure youth are not disaffected, that I think we need to lower the volume of the conversation and tackle across partisan lines. I was watching Dear Evan Hansen. It's actually a play on Broadway, which is all about this what we're doing to young people in an age of social media where they are disconnected and lack a sense of community. And the question is, instead of yelling about things like Fox News or the president have, I wish we were having a real conversation about that challenge, and there has been no honest effort to do that on their side.
James in Wichita, Kansas, you are on the air with Congressman Khanna. Thank you for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Hey, I got two quick questions. Since marijuana is legal now, are all those people from the past going to be let go out of prison for selling marijuana? And the second thing is, what kind of tax are you talking about? Because I already pay a $200 tax stamp per silencer when I get a silencer. So, I mean, I don't think that's fair, but I think a lot of the stuff you guys are saying was like a little scary to me. So what kind of tax do you mean? Thanks.
Well, I appreciate it. On the marijuana legalization, the bill that Cory Booker and myself and Barbara Lee are on would have an expungement for people who have possessed marijuana. And, of course, we know that the prosecution of that is about 3 to 4 times as much for African Americans than Caucasian Americans, so there's huge racial consequences. And you have these kids, 19, 20, often arrested for marijuana possession or marijuana use, and then it's on their background check for the next 50 years, and they can't get jobs. And so that's in nobody's interest. And so not only does it move towards legalization, but it is a expungement of people's arrest records if it's for possession or recreational use. Now, not for drug dealers who are engaged in massive sales, and that isn't covered. In terms of your second point, I mean, I don't think the tax has to be on middle class or working class families who own guns. I think these gun manufacturers are making a tremendous amount of profits. Their executives are making a tremendous amount of profits. Unfortunately, there's legislation shielding them from liability, and I think there is a way to tax those gun companies to make so that they're held accountable for some of the destruction that they have wreaked on our country.
Corey in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You're on the air with Congressman Ro Khanna.
Yes, sir. I got a question. I'm from Louisiana, so we have a big, I have guns there's guns in my family that were passed down from my grandfather, my father, and all that. But, I grew up in an old NRA family, and they told me, when we were growing up and stuff, my dad and them used to always say, if criminals can get automatic weapons and stuff on the streets, then even if you stop manufacturing assault rifles and stuff that some people use for home defense and stuff, then what's to stop them from getting them after you outlaw them?
Well, I think it's... Tom, do you want to jump in
Well,
first?
I would say you can't buy automatic weapons on the streets, period. I mean, we banned automatic weapons in the 30s, and
semi-automatic weapons as well.
Well, semi-automatics are legal. That's why you can buy them. But we've proved that gun control works with automatic weapons. Congressman?
Well, I would just say look at some other countries. I mean, England had a huge massacre in 1988, and then they banned most forms of assault weapons, and now they haven't had a mass shooting. Australia did that in 1996. So people who say, well, the laws aren't necessarily going to work, well, why don't we look at what other countries have done? And by the way, when we had the assault weapons ban up through 2004, it did work. We didn't have these AR-15s. They have come about only after the ban was lifted. So my view is, have the laws that make common sense that every other industrialized country has. People will see that they're still able to use their guns for hunting. No one is coming after guns that have been passed down from generation to generation.